I think at one point in your life history, you left Gisborne and you went to stay with your granddad?
Yes.
At Nelson?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your life there.
What happened at Gisborne was Dad was the gardener and handyman for Harold Hindley, who lived in the Dower House. And after his wife died, there was a bit of shenanigan with the housekeeper and what have you, and she finished up trying to rule the roost, and that's when Dad gave his notice and packed in. So, as you say there, we went over to stay with my granddad, and my dad started work then for the park department at Nelson. And then eventually Mrs Hindley, the other Mrs Hindley down at Gisborne Park, found out that her mother was used to work for them before, that she would like her to come back, which she did do. And that's when Dad, she knew we were coming back to Remington, to Taylor's at Greystones. And that's when Mrs Hindley found out my mother had come back, and she came and got my mother to go and work for her again down there.
Right. I think when you were at Nelson, you had quite a bit to do with horses, did you?
Well, Grandad kept horses. He worked for the mills, carrying weft boxes from one end of the mill to the other. They used to put him into a room there, I can't altogether remember, it had ammonia or something in it. It had an effect on the silk that was on the bobbins, and they had a bluish mark on the bobbins. Now, I can't just tell you what they had to look for, but that's what they did. He carted them from one end and round to the other end.
So that would be quite a distance then, would it? It would be a big floor space.
Yeah, it's quite a big space, a big mill. You went round the outside of the mill.
Yes.
Yeah, not through it. You went right round the back.
I see.
With the horse, and then of course come back for another lot.
And did you ever ride a horse?
Well, that one that he was using then for that sort of work, yes, they called it Prince, and it was relatively quiet. I could sit between the saddle and the aims, and I could just about touch the shafts with my feet, and you could ride on that. That's the one I rode over to Gisborne on, and but the other one, he used to show it. They called it Roger, and that was a shire. Oh, it had feet like a dinner plate. It had, and it were really excited because he did used to show it, and he never stood on. He never rested a leg when he had it. Always stood on 4 legs. And when he used to feed it, in the stables, there was a buskin between the 2 horses, and then it was the wall at this side, and if I went to feed it with, you'll have seen them round buckets, it's about that depth in there. Yeah. Well, I used to have a piece of wood, happened 2 foot long, and it was pointed at one end, so you put that across top of the bucket so he couldn't trap. If it come over to trap you, it got pricked with a lump with a point on the piece of wood.
Because it'd be quite a weight, wouldn't it, to lean against you?
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
And did they come to Gisborne for their holidays or something?
They did, yes. Yeah. I think they called it the wakes when the mills closed for about a fortnight, and he came to his horses came to Shuttleworth Hall.
Right.
And in actual fact, when Grandad died, the Shire one was already there at Gisborne, and they kept it at Shuttleworth Hall. Levi Collins farmed Shuttleworth Hall then.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they went for their holidays, in inverted commas, for how long would that be?
Usually, I think it'd be 2 weeks, like the mills had. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so was there a sort of rota with the horses to give them a break then?
Sorry?
That way? Was there a kind of rota where they had a fortnight's break?
Well, it was basically just a fortnight in the year when the mills actually was on holiday.
So they didn't need, they weren't really needed at all?
No.
Ah, right.